Hello, it's Cried here with a discussion on one of the most confusing talismans in Elden Ring, the Blue Dancer charm. Confusing in the sense that you don't exactly know how much damage you're getting from it. I'm going to talk about some fixes that can be made for this talisman, and also show you how you can currently optimize the talisman if you still want to use it. So just what exactly does this talisman do, and how does it work? From its description, we see that it increases your physical damage the lower the weight of your equipment. Part of this talisman's limitation is that it only applies to physical damage, making your available options even less. As for the lower weight portion, it is referring to the raw weight of your equipment, rather than the percent equip load, like how light rolls or medium rolls are determined. The maximum bonus you can get is 14.83% physical damage if you have nothing but the talisman equipped. Here is the table for the damage increase split up into multiple blocks depending on the formula. While under 8 weight, there is little decrease to damage per 0.5 weight investment, but realistically speaking, unless you don't plan on wearing any armor at all, the under 8 weight bracket is difficult to maintain. Furthermore, it is perfectly fine to go above 8 weight, as the next section doesn't too drastically decrease the effectiveness of Blue Dancer charm. This is the weight range you usually want if you really want to use the Blue Dancer charm, especially if you're taking getting hit into some account, as you will always be wearing armor if you're optimizing. This really is the main problem of Blue Dancer charm. Equipping heavier gear is just a very easy way for you to perform better. As for 16 to 20 weight, this is the steep drop-off you want to avoid. Blue Dancer's effectiveness pretty much dies out towards the end of this region, which means that even when the marginal decrease of the final region is lower than that of the sweet spot, the raw bonuses are so bad you might as well not have this talisman equipped, as the best you can do is 3.75% physical bonus at 20 weight. Overall, you can probably tell at a glance that the Blue Dancer charm gives a mediocre bonus for having very strict requirements. The most this talisman might appeal to are probably people trying to wear things as light as possible, or do no-hit runs where being naked wouldn't matter. However, even then, you're at most getting something like 13% or so physical damage bonus, as you would still need to equip a weapon, and talisman slots are generally worth their weight. So, how can we fix the Blue Dancer charm? One suggestion I've seen at least a couple of times is to use equip load percent, just like how light and medium rolls are determined, instead of flat value. This, however, is not a very good suggestion. Let me explain with an example. Instead of having the talisman scale to raw weight like it currently does, let's translate it to a percent scaling. So, we'll do exact same scaling for 0% to 30% instead of 0 to 30. Let's take a look at some concrete stats. I would say 30 endurance plus Great Jar's Arsenal is quite a fair amount of investment into endurance for the middle stages of the game or for PvP. However, as you can see, our equip load isn't even 100 yet. Why does 100 matter? Because 30 divided by 100 is 30%. It means that if we're using 30% instead of 30 raw weight, we would actually nerf the effectiveness of our talisman. You might counter with the argument that we can buff the equip load percent, so we can scale the stats from 0% to 50% instead of 0% to 30%. This would mean that 25% equip load would be equivalent to 15 raw weights currently, which puts us at the high end of the good portion of weight you want to be at. If we use the same stats, 25% of 92.4 weight is 23.1, which is greater than 15 weight. This means that we did indeed buff the talisman if the weight range was from 0% to 50%. The problem with this is that there are consequences later into the game when you can achieve 160 equip load without the Great Jar's Arsenal. This would make the Blue Dancer charm quite powerful, especially since quality scales physical AR really high endgame. Using 0% to 50%, we can have up to 40 weight and still get a huge chunk of the bonus. This makes the Blue Dancer charm quite strong for endgame, when the requirements are no longer difficult to meet. If you understood none of the numbers, just understand that using percent scaling instead of raw weight really isn't the way to go, as it makes this talisman even crappier early game, while having the requirements way easy to meet for endgame. So what can we do? Well, one easy thing From Software can do if they don't want to change how the bonus is given is to tweak the weights of this charm. Why the heck is a talisman that stresses being lightweight 0.9 weight itself? It just makes no damn sense. If anyone on the development team is watching, please just turn this into 0.1 weight to give this talisman a tiny buff across the board. Other than that, I would suggest making the damage bonus nerf not as harsh for the area highlighted in green, and push the nerfs harder to the red region. I gave an example of potential numbers, but I think it will make better sense if the marginal damage loss increases region to region rather than jumping around like it currently does. The cutoff is quite strict at the moment, and there isn't a reason to go 20 weights or above. Even above 16 weights is a hard sell. This change will make it much more usable for a slightly higher weight. As for those people who do want to try and optimize a Blue Dancer build right now, I do have an example build too. With the recent 1.07 changes, the Frozen Needle is the weapon I chose. Since poise got changes, two-handing a thrusting sword is actually a strong setup, particularly against people without 71 poise. In addition to the Frozen Needle's main selling point of having heavy attack and feint attacks that shoot out projectiles, Impaling Thrust is actually an usable Ash of War with its increased speed now. This is the full setup. We are very obviously light rolling without the need of any equip load talismans. You might ask why I'm not within the 16 weight range, and that is mostly due to the fact that I want to equip the Black Knight armor, as I think it suits the theme very well. Honestly, you should pick something lighter for the armor in order to maintain 16 weight if you want the damage bonus. But I don't really care. I want the fashion. Now, I know a lot of PvP players are going to say you don't need the green turtle talisman because you can do the goblin crap. But in this case, it isn't really true unless both sides are super passive, and the enemy doesn't need to be passive if he can see how lightweight you are. We do spam a lot of stamina with the heavy and feint attacks. You really need the extra stamina if you want to engage often. The spear talisman on the thrusting weapon works well, and Crimson Amber is just good value while being low weight. Finally, the Blue Dancer charm works quite well with our Frozen Needle, as the Frozen Needle's heavy attacks and feint attacks, while projectile, are still physical damage attacks that do pierce damage, despite looking like an ice projectile that deals magic damage. Here is the damage test proof with and without the Blue Dancer charm, in case you don't believe me. That's about it honestly. I'll do some matches, but this is definitely not an optimal setup. Any build with Blue Dancer charm right now is definitely more for fun than for competitive reasons. If you just run into another two-handed thrusting sword for example, you kind of just get run down because they can poise break you in a hit, while you probably can't do the same, as 71 poise isn't difficult to meet. You want to avoid prolonged engagements, which is why I chose the Frozen Needle. Heavy attack into a feint for the quicker attack. Okay, I'll dodge this. And poke twice because the first hit was dagger, since our projectile didn't. And retreat a bit. Oh, okay, he actually got outplayed too much. Oh, this is bad. Our poise is so low I don't think I can even tank explosion. Oh yeah, I can't. Not even a single explosion. Okay, run. Oops, that was too quick of an attack. Should have ran closer, but yeah, if they don't have 71 poise, we can just poke. Oops, accidentally got caught. We don't have enough poise to even tank the first hit of ROB. So if we get caught for a full sequence. Do be careful sometimes. And you see Piercing Fang, sometimes you can use it as a gap closer too, but usually it's definitely punishable. Just carefully use your pokes as well, because you want to use your heavies or feints to sometimes give you more range. We can't really trade 1-for-1. Okay, I was actually dodging that, but space carefully. Oh, yeah, I should have traded. Moonveil. Maybe we can just poke. Oh, okay, I wasn't actually expecting to get parried, but it's fine. Seems like a one trick, so we just need to know how to deal with the Moonveil, and we can win this fight with raw knowledge. Yep, Piercing Fang to bust through the parry. I don't think I can win this. Quick step and also using two-handed thrusting sword while he staggers me on every hit. Yeah, you pretty much can't trade 1-1. And quick step makes it very easy for him to dodge my projectiles too. And definitely easy to dodge the Piercing Fang. This is definitely not good for me. Yeah, I'm not too familiar with this build because I didn't practice that much. So someone better at thrusting sword can probably win this because I'm getting close, but I think he just needs to hit me one more time. Even the crystal darts hurt so much. Not having armor. He can probably fan dagger me to death now. Oh, that actually hit. Okay, GG. Well, that didn't hit. Okay. Well, it's fine. Flies are relatively easy to dodge. I say that and then I immediately get hit. Actually, I think I should have dodged that. That's kind of weird. But yeah. We can do some long range fighting too. Darn, he jumped. Otherwise, that would have been a nice trade. Oh, Dragon Claw. Kind of a weak incantation. It's relatively easy to punish, especially with a two-handed thrusting sword if you know the timing. Oh, okay. I don't think I can make it to his side in time, because I'm a thrusting sword and not a heavy thrusting sword with a running heavy attack. Just take things carefully. We actually managed to proc Frost, so we have the advantage. Oh, Piercing Fang and the combo finisher. Nice. GG. Like and subscribe, and if you want to support the channel, please buy my fantasy novel in the description down below. You can also request a topic from me if you do get a copy. See you next time.